Tonight's story begins long before the bright lights of the America's Got Talent stage, long before the world even knew the name of a quiet teenage boy from Cebu. But before we dive into the heart of his unbelievable journey, welcome back to the place where real stories shine and where every moment is crafted to spread hope, emotion, and inspiration. Welcome back to Spread the Smile, where we uncover the stories that change lives. And today, you're about to hear a performance so powerful that even Elvis Presley himself would have stood up in awe. What happened on the AGT stage shocked the judges, stunned the crowd, and brought Simon Cowell to a level of speechlessness you rarely ever see. But to truly understand why this moment hit so deeply, you must first understand the world this young boy came from. In a small, humid neighborhood on the outskirts of Cebu City, life was simple but heavy. Houses were pressed close together, roofs patched with tin sheets, walls worn by rain and time. Noise was everywhere, jeepneys rumbling, vendors calling, children playing barefoot through narrow alleys. But inside one tiny room in a tiny home lived a boy whose voice did not belong to the world around him. His name was Leandro, a shy teen who hardly spoke, but when he did, his voice carried a softness that made people turn. He grew up listening to old music, not because he chose to but because that's all his father left behind, cassette tapes of Elvis Presley, the Righteous Brothers, and other Golden Age singers. His father used to play them while fixing broken radios for neighbors just to earn a small living. And every time an Elvis song played, his father would tap his foot, smile, and say, "Someday, someone with a voice like this is going to come from this house." At that time, little Leandro didn't understand what his father meant. He just pressed his ear against the old speaker and listened. Years passed, and life grew harder. His father fell ill, and before long, the house felt emptier without him. The only thing left behind was the small box of tapes and an old, faded Elvis poster pinned above the bed. Whenever the world outside felt too loud or too cruel, he would put on the tapes and whisper the songs until whispering turned to humming, and humming slowly grew into full, soulful singing. But he never sang in front of people. Not at school, not at church, not even in front of his mother. His voice belonged to a world he only dared to enter when he was alone. Everything changed when one of his friends secretly recorded him singing while they walked home from school. It was an Elvis classic, "Can't Help Falling in Love." His friend posted it online with the simple caption, "Cebu has its own Elvis." The video exploded overnight. People from all over the Philippines shared it, praising a voice that sounded like it had traveled through time. But the boy behind the voice had no idea. He didn't even know he had gone viral until a teacher pulled him aside and said, "You need to see this." That moment changed everything. Suddenly people he didn't know stopped him in the street. Some asked him to sing, others just stared. And though he felt shy, he saw something in their eyes: hope, excitement, belief. The kind of belief he had never seen before. One day, an unexpected email arrived, an invitation to audition for America's Got Talent. His mother cried when she read it. They had never left Cebu, never traveled far, never imagined that an opportunity like this would ever come. But with the help of neighbors and donations from people who were touched by his voice, they made the impossible possible. And so the quiet teen whose world was once only the size of a small street in Cebu found himself standing backstage at AGT, hands trembling, heart pounding. Surrounded by cameras, lights, and thousands of strangers. When his name was called, he felt something inside him shift, not fear, but a strange calm, as if someone was telling him, "This is your moment." As he walked onto the stage, the audience murmured. He looked young, nervous, unsure. Simon Cowell leaned forward with that familiar squint, analyzing every detail. Sofia Vergara smiled warmly. Heidi Klum tilted her head with curiosity. And Howie Mandel gave an encouraging nod. Simon asked him where he was from, and when he softly answered, "I'm from Cebu, in the Philippines," the crowd erupted with cheers. But Simon didn't smile. Instead, he leaned back and said, "All right then. Show us what you can do." The music started. Soft, slow, warm. The familiar opening notes of an Elvis classic, "If I Can Dream." A song Elvis performed with raw passion, filled with longing and hope. The kind of song only a true storyteller could deliver. For a second, the boy froze. The lights blinded him. The stage felt too big. But then he pictured the old cassette tapes, the sound of his father singing along, the faded Elvis poster on the wall. And when he opened his mouth, time stood still. A deep, rich tone poured out, completely unexpected from someone so young. The voice was smooth but powerful, classic yet new. The crowd collectively inhaled. People leaned forward as if drawn by gravity. His voice rose with emotion, soared with purity, cracked gently in the places where Elvis himself used to let vulnerability shine through. It was more than talent. It was connection. It felt like the universe had pressed pause just to listen. Halfway through the song, Simon's expression changed. His eyebrows lifted, his mouth opened slightly. This was the rarest sight of all, Simon Cowell genuinely stunned. Heidi placed a hand over her heart. Sophia whispered something under her breath. The audience didn't move. No phones, no cheers, no claps. Just silence, reverent silence. As the teen reached the final crescendo, his voice grew stronger, richer, filled with everything he carried from Cebu: loss, hope, dreams, pain, love. And when he finished the final note, the entire room exploded. People jumped to their feet. Cheers thundered like rolling waves. The judges rose with them, applauding with wide eyes. The boy stood still, overwhelmed, unsure if the applause was even real. Then the cameras focused on Simon. He didn't clap immediately. Instead, he stared at the boy with a mixture of shock and admiration. When he finally spoke, his voice was softer than usual. I've heard many Elvis tributes in my life. Many try to imitate, many try to sound like him. But you brought something else. Something personal, something honest. I think even Elvis would be proud of you. The crowd erupted again. The boy covered his face, unable to hold back tears. Simon continued, you created a moment. And that is something not many people can do. For the first time in a long time, I'm speechless. Sophia praised the richness of his tone, saying it felt like listening to an old soul trapped in a young heart. Heidi said his voice felt like it wrapped around the room and hugged everyone in it. Howie simply said, you came from so far, but trust me, after tonight, the world will come to you. Then Simon looked at the audience, then at the judges, then at the golden buzzer in front of him. The boy's heart stopped. Simon placed his hand on the buzzer but didn't press it yet. Instead, he looked at the teen and said, let me tell you something. Talent is common, but magic is rare. And what you just gave us was pure magic. Welcome to the live shows. Simon slammed the golden buzzer. The stage erupted in gold. The boy fell to his knees, crying as confetti rained down. His mother rushed on stage, hugging him tightly. The judges smiled, the audience screamed, and Simon stood with the faintest smile, a real, sincere one. The moment was unforgettable, but the story doesn't end with applause. After the episode aired, millions of people all over the world searched for the Cebu teen with the Elvis voice. Fans created edits, musicians reacted, vocal coaches analyzed his technique with awe. People from the Philippines celebrated him with pride. Even older Elvis fans, who usually disliked modern tributes, commented saying his voice gave them chills they hadn't felt in decades. Suddenly the quiet boy from Cebu wasn't just a contestant. He was a sensation. As the days went by, news outlets reached out. Radio stations played his audition audio. People began sending messages saying his performance helped them through grief, loneliness, heartbreak. They said his voice felt healing. They said they hadn't cried like that in years. And the boy read every message with disbelief. He once sang only for himself, but now he sang for the world. Through all the attention, he never forgot where he came from. In interviews he spoke softly about Cebu, about his mother, about the little room with the Elvis poster. He told the world that if it wasn't for the people who believed in him back home, he wouldn't have stepped onto that stage. And each time he spoke, you could see the humility in his eyes, the gratitude, the disbelief that someone like him could become someone the world admired. As he prepared for the live shows, he chose songs not based on popularity but based on meaning. Songs that carried stories, emotions, history. Songs his father used to hum while working, songs that reminded him of home. And each rehearsal revealed the same thing: this was not just about singing. This was his way of honoring the past and stepping into a future he never imagined. Producers and mentors at AGT were shocked by his natural control, his raw tone, and the way he didn't try to force anything. He didn't try to sound like Elvis, he simply sang from the heart, and the likeness came naturally through authenticity. Simon visited one rehearsal and told him, the thing that makes you special is that you don't even know how special you are. Don't lose that. Fans waited eagerly for his live show performance. The pressure was immense, but he approached it with quiet determination. Even though nerves tried to creep in, he reminded himself of his father's words, someday, someone with a voice like this will come from this house. And finally, that day had come. Before stepping onto the live stage, he took a deep breath and whispered, "This is for you, Papa." When the lights rose and the music began, the audience felt that same electric energy from his audition. His voice reverberated through the massive auditorium with the same vintage soulfulness but with even more confidence. The world held its breath. And when he hit that high note, clear, powerful, emotional, the entire building erupted once again. Thousands cried, millions watched, and Simon Cowell stood up long before the song ended. After the performance, the judges delivered another round of praises, each more emotional than the last. Simon told him, "You have something that cannot be taught. And if Elvis Presley could hear you now, I think he would smile. You brought something back to life tonight. Something magical." From Cebu to the world, his story became a symbol of hope. A reminder that dreams can rise from the smallest places. That voices can travel farther than footsteps. That sometimes the world doesn't need perfection, it needs sincerity, heart, and truth. The boy who grew up singing alone in a tiny room had become a global sensation. And his journey reminded millions of people that it doesn't matter where you come from, it matters where your voice leads you. His story continues, his journey grows, and the world waits to see what he will do next. But no matter how far he goes, one thing is certain, Elvis would indeed be proud. And that is the power of a voice born from struggle, shaped by love, strengthened by loss, and unleashed on one of the biggest stages in the world. This is not just a performance story. This is a legacy in the making. And this is what we live for here at Spread the Smile, moments that don't just entertain, but touch the heart in a way that lasts.